You won't believe where these 7 strange doorways led me, and they only opened up because of professional wrestling. It's gonna be a weird one today, tribe. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. If you are passionate about the craft of professional wrestling and you're never done learning all about it, then you've landed in the exact right place. Go ahead, join the Till We Make It tribe. Subscribe down below, ring the notification bell so you always find out every time I publish, and if you would be so kind as to leave a like-a-palooza, that tells YouTube to share this video with more people, and it helps the channel to grow. I would certainly appreciate it. I'm going to preface today's video by forewarning you. This one is a lot more personal than the fare I typically present on Till We Make It, because it is intensely specific to the trajectory of my own career. And yes, perhaps it will seem a little bit indulgent. I'm sure you're going to let me know down below in the comments in just a moment, but here we go. Throughout the decades, I've had some pretty weird opportunities turn up at my door, and only because of my involvement in professional wrestling. It's because of my work in the ring as a wrestler, or my work as a pro wrestling coach, or as a booker, or whatever. And each of these, at different points, have convinced some people that I am suitable for any one of a number of particularly odd projects. And the more odd, the more I tend to like it. And even the oddest of all these oddballs, I must admit, even if at the time it felt like tons of hard work, it was frustrating, maybe even disheartening, each of them was an invaluable learning experience, and all of that is really due to professional wrestling. That's what I want to share with you today. I'm going to walk you right through a handful of them to the best of my ability and recollection, and in a couple cases, supported with relevant multimedia. The first of these I want to tell you about is entitled Takako vs. 9 Lives. It's the fruit of a creative collaboration between yours truly and a professor of dance from Temple University, Laura Katz. All in all, we worked on this for about 2 years, from when it was conceived, to choreographed, to filmed, to finally released to the world. And the piece, while it certainly has a narrative backbone about dysfunctional relationships, is built on an examination of wrestling through the lens of ballet and vice versa. It's a complete hybridization of these two art forms. So, it is neither ballet nor pro wrestling, and yet it is also both of them simultaneously. There's a lot going on in this 9-minute piece, even though on its face it might appear to just be a cat and an octopus expressing some difficult emotions through wrestling holds. And it is beautifully performed in my ring by both Laura Katz and Sun Mi Cho, two supremely talented dancers. Takako vs. 9 Lives even made the rounds at a few film festivals back in 2018. Pro tip for you that I learned from this whole project: make sure you stay on the good side of whoever has the power of final cut over the piece, because 2 years of my contributions as the wrestling trainer and as the dramaturg on Takako vs. 9 Lives results only in the very short line in the credits that reads, "Special thanks, Mike Quackenbush." A weird opportunity of my own design took advantage of the square footage of my training center, my Wrestle Factory in Philadelphia. For a run of about 8 weeks, my training center doubled as an escape room. The Golden Opportunity Caper was a wrestling-themed escape room that saw participants interacting with masked wrestlers and even climbing in the ring in order to win the game. This ran in the summer of 2017, and it gave me a real appreciation for how difficult it is to write, design, and execute an escape room. It was fun while it lasted, and the only reason I got to do this was because I happen to have my own wrestling school. I gotta mention this one. If you had asked me to make a list of the places I thought my long-tenured wrestling career might eventually lead me one day, I assure you, wholeheartedly, this next thing would have never appeared on the list. But I have been called on to function as a judge at a burlesque competition. I was summoned because of my expertise on things like character and storytelling to help aspiring burlesque dancers hone their craft. And that whole world was only opened up to me thanks to Flirt Vonnegut and Honeytree Evil Eye, and I felt like there was no way I could make this video without saying those names aloud. Flirt Vonnegut and Honeytree Evil Eye. Making my list of the strangest opportunities to come my way, thanks to professional wrestling, is the appearance I make in a music video for the Electric Six, a rock band that was formed in Michigan back in the 90s. This is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the most makeup I've ever worn in my entire life, and I'll be perfectly pleased if that record remains intact for the balance of my days on Earth. This day's work, I think, results in me appearing in the video for maybe 20 seconds, maybe less, but if you want to search it up for yourself and have a bit of a laugh, check out the I Got the Box video by Electric Six, produced by my friend Andre Bennett. Do you know what a pecha kucha is? I didn't. It sounds dirty, doesn't it? But it's not. A pecha kucha is a presentation accompanied by a slideshow wherein exactly 20 slides advance in predetermined intervals. So in a lightning version, they're going to advance every 15 seconds. In a traditional version, every 20 seconds. And the challenge for you, as the presenter of a pecha kucha, is to time out the speech you are giving so it ends at the exact same time as the slide presentation that's playing behind you. Some time ago, I had a realization about the really rigid narrow-mindedness that guided the trajectory of my wrestling career, and about the frequency with which I would just say no to any out-of-the-box opportunity, idea, or project, especially if it did not neatly conform to the way I thought my wrestling career should be going. It had to fit within the world of pro wrestling, and so anything that was even just one step out, I would always say no. I never accepted those things. But after I shattered my leg in April of 2013, I had a real change of heart. I began to realize that saying no to all of these opportunities wasn't getting me any closer to my ultimate career goal of one day being invited to perform at the Super J Cup. It was just closing doors, and it was worthwhile for me to take advantage of any door that was open to me. And from that point on, anytime I would get an oddball request or a weird phone call about some project or opportunity, my new golden rule was just say yes. And when I got a call about performing a pecha kucha, even though I had no idea what those words meant, I just said yes. And I'm so glad that I did, because the result of all that preparation and hard work was this: the art of pro wrestling, something which I remain proud of to this day, and I feel pretty certain is most likely going to be the video embedded right in my digital obituary. And it came out, it met the world almost 6 years ago today. I'd love to tell you a little bit more about this, but I can't yet. And that's because the first screening for Poison Arrows will not have yet occurred at the time this is reaching your eyeballs, loyal members of the Till We Make It tribe. So, suffice to say, it has been a very long road for director Simon Sprackling to get this thing to the screen. And I will be very eager to see how it all shakes out in the final edit when it is finally in a state that it can meet the world. And I already feel like I've said too much, so that's the end of this one. The All-Around Strangest is a piece of what I refer to as the Ashes Project, which took years to conceive and design and came at tremendous financial risk. And I think if I'm just going to zero in to one of the many parts of this multifaceted project, it has to be the citywide Scavenger Hunt, which canvassed all of Philadelphia and was designed to be played by especially clever wrestling fans. And all of this reached its surreal zenith, I suppose, when we produced the big screen premiere of The Ashes of Chikara, for which we even produced a soundtrack album. The whole reason I ever ended up on a phone call with Wang Chung, yeah, that Wang Chung, is because of The Ashes of Chikara. Focusing on just the Scavenger Hunt for a moment, it took 6 months to design the entire experience, and it was played across an entire afternoon. Wrestling fans piled into cars together and drove all over Philadelphia, some of them even live streaming their experiences out so that fans who could only attend virtually could assist them with finding the next clue or solving the next puzzle. And the Scavenger Hunt was designed with 2 different outcomes. One if the fans succeeded in their mission, and another if they failed. And it would have had direct ramifications on how the story proceeded next if they had not succeeded. But thankfully, they did, because as I said, they were especially clever wrestling fans. And granted, the solution to a scavenger hunt determining where an angle in pro wrestling goes is probably not what most people think of as being a neat fit within the world of professional wrestling. And I think that's part of why we wanted to do it, because we knew this thing doesn't really fit, but it could if we put a little work and love into it. End to end, the Ashes project was sprawling, to say the least. And at least 2 people have attempted to make documentaries covering the entire thing, although neither have made it to a completion point as of the time I'm recording this video for you right now. It was born out of my love of transmedia experiences, viral marketing, and alternate reality gaming, especially this scavenger hunt piece. And if overall the goal of the Ashes project was to expand out to its ultimate extreme what storytelling within professional wrestling could withstand, well, in that regard, I think it was a success. It's been so successful, it has spawned exactly 0 imitators to this day, and let's please not talk about the money part of it. Wrestling has given me a lot throughout the years, and when I reflect on what I am proud of, I think of my students, my trainees and proteges first and foremost. Every once and again I think of places I've been able to see only because of professional wrestling, or every once in a great while I'll reflect on a match of mine that I'm still proud of, although those feelings are always fleeting, it is quite infrequent. And yet, today, as I was setting everything up to film until we make it for you, I just started thinking back on all these oddball, out-of-the-box experiences and opportunities and projects that came my way only because I'm involved in professional wrestling. If I had been a pastry chef, none of these things would have been possible. They're part of my story because of professional wrestling. And no matter how weird or wild or wacky any of them happen to be, I'm proud of them all. Remember that Pecha I mentioned? Well, here it is, The Art of Pro Wrestling. Oh, and here's another one that I made called Your Best Work. And have a look. Here are all my great patrons. You can join this roll call if you want. Just click on the box appearing right now. Looks like a P in an orange box. Kind of.